Hello, all of my crafty friends. So today I am here with part two. We're going to put together the fancy trifold card today. So I'm just bringing out some of the pieces that I cut out to decorate my card, and I went with a music theme today. I also brought out some contact paper because I'm going to need that because, as you know, I like to put vinyl on my cards. I'm using a little bit of Cricut shimmer paper as well as some Cricut cardstock in the blue for the panels for my card. Now, you will notice that your panels are 3 sizes. In addition to that, I have some heavyweight white cardstock that I have used to cut out the actual card base. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to start gluing these down. And I've had the Cricut write a special message on each of these squares, and so we are just going to mat the blue onto the silver for each one of those, trying to get them as centered as possible. And you guys know that that's a struggle for me. It's funny because I noticed that no matter how small the square is, it is still a struggle for me to get it lined up correctly. But at any rate, we finally get all 6 of those lined up, and then we are going to move on to the rectangles. Now, the rectangles will go from the largest rectangle will be all the way to the left. This very slim rectangle will be the centerpiece, and then the other rectangle that is, I guess, the middle sized rectangle will go all the way to the right. And again, I am keeping with that blue cardstock and the silver shimmer paper. I really love this paper by Cricut because it has all the glittery effects but none of the shed, and it's super smooth cardstock, and it has a nice weight to it, and it cuts amazingly. So I love it. So once we have all of these pieces glued down, we're going to move on to using some contact paper, and I'm going to take each of these elements with the contact paper, and I am going to place them on various areas of the card. So right there in the middle where I have cut out this silhouette of a drum set, I am going to go ahead and place the contact paper on top of this. Now, this contact paper is contact paper that I purchased from the dollar store because it has just enough tack for me to get vinyl off of the release paper and then onto cardstock, and it does not rip your paper ever. Now, sometimes depending on if you're using like glitter cardstock and things like that, you have to be a little more careful with getting it up, but I am willing to fuss with it just a little bit so that I can ensure that my paper never tears. It is super nice on your paper. So as you can see, it just goes on very easily. It comes off super easy. So I am just going on, and I've created a barcode with those special numbers on it for this special card. I cannot believe that we are getting to this place. So my oldest is turning 18 years old. So as you can see, I have 18, 18, 18, 18, 18. I absolutely can't believe it, but it's absolutely amazing. And this is some platinum vinyl from Cricut, and I am just placing each of the words that I actually went back into the Cricut and kind of sized everything down onto each of these panels so that I could make sure that it fit exactly the way that I wanted to. But of course, you could stamp out images, you could do a scene on this panel, you could do whatever you wanted. You could do paper piecing, you could use some what are those called, like the chipboard pieces or whatever, with the theme that you wanted to create for this card. So I'm going in and continuing to put down what is going to be my front sentiment onto the card, and I've created some music notes. I was just trying to think of different things that he enjoys, and music is one of those things. He is really one of those 80s music. He loves rock and pop, and it's just the funniest thing to hear him singing a lot of those 80s rock and pop songs throughout the house. I absolutely love it. And that his little soul is so much older than he is. So for this one, I did cut my piece of contact paper a little bit short, but I wasn't too worried about it. I am terrible at lining things up anyway, so I just figured I'd do the best that I could with what I had, and I will get the last letter off of there after I placed everything else down. So that's going to be our center portion, so that will be the second piece that opens up. So now I'm going to go in and I'm going to take all of the different pieces of musical instruments, and that is what's going to create this final panel. And I really was going with like colors that he liked, his type of theme. And this is also a challenge for me because I don't do well with masculine cards. You know, when it doesn't have shimmer and shine and sparkle and glitter and glitz and flowers and pretty colors and all of that stuff, I struggle. So this was a really good exercise for me to create something more masculine. So tell me, do you guys struggle with masculine cards? If you do, are you working on it? What are some of the things that you find that help you to do masculine cards that you are proud of? What are some of your tips? What are some of your tricks, some of your techniques? For me, I feel like it's a little bit easier when it is a male that I know what theme to use. If I know what they like, it makes it a little bit easier for me to create something, although I have to resist the shimmer and shine and the jewels and the glitz and the glam. However, I do sneak it in somehow. Like this time I used shimmery cardstock as my background because I have to see something, just a little something. So we are going ahead and we're finishing up, and like I said, this comes together once you have the card base done. This comes together super easy. It was really fun to get this all put together on the Design Space software, and then actually putting it together once everything is cut out was a breeze. Now on this one, as you can see, like I said, sometimes I fuss with it a little bit, and this is my fault because I will use the same piece of contact paper for an entire card, and it's already very low tack. So in addition to it being low tack, I am being as cheap as possible and trying to use it for an entire card. Well, guess what that means? You're gonna have to fuss with it a little bit more, which I don't mind. It still wasn't that bad. So we're putting down our final piece here, and so that is going to create that final panel of the card that will go all the way over to the right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to start just folding back and forward. I am trying to get every one of these score lines very, very flexible, just so when I start folding it, by the time it reaches the recipient, it is really good and malleable. So now you see that the smaller score lines I'm popping backwards, and those larger squares or rectangles, you know I use that interchangeably, are going to end up coming forward. And I am just maneuvering. So now I've done that enough to the point where my cardstock is moving a lot easier. So now I'm going to go on and I am going to place each one of my panels down where they are going to end up being. So now I'm going to start gluing everything down. You see on this piece, I was cutting out another card and I didn't know why I had silver cardstock, but I was like, oh, that'll work. And then I realized, oh, that's the panel for my other card. Oh, I hope that that gets covered up because I didn't want to cut out another piece. So it did. And you know, some people do that. I don't typically cut out the inside of my background panels, but I know that it is definitely a way of saving cardstock. For me, I don't typically do it, but that was like a happy accident. It happened, it worked, and it still came out looking great. So that was a win-win for me. So now I'm going to put that third large panel on. And then I'm going to start working on those center panels that I had the Cricut write the inside sentiment on. Now, as far as the personalized sentiment, I would put that on the back of the panel that has all of the instruments, if you're looking for a place to write that. However, in this case, I'm probably going to slip a handmade note into the envelope with the card, just because my son loves to hold on to all of his cards, so I know he will have them on display. So now we're going to try our best. This part, I'm really trying to get it centered very well, just simply because when you have things that are and that should be lined up and spaced evenly, it is definitely more of an eyesore when it's not in its correct place. So I was trying much more to make this very symmetrical. So now we have it all folded in, and this is what the card is going to look like. Isn't that super simple? And I super love it, and it's going to come out to be about the size of a 5x7 card. I like 5x7 cards. I know everyone doesn't like 5x7s. I don't typically do A2 size cards, just simply because I like to have a lot on my cards. So I'm more of a 5x7 type of person. And so here again, I'm just continuing to work it because I want it to smoothly transition when the recipient opens it. So that is the card. Tell me what you guys think. Leave me a comment. Let me know if you're planning on trying this. If you did not get to see the process of creating this card, I will have the first part of that linked in the description below so that you guys can go in and see that part and see how we got to this. I hope that you guys are willing to try it. I hope that you guys enjoyed it, and I hope that you guys come back for the next video. You guys have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.